Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sunir Shah, President of the Cloud Software Association. We have another great SaaS Connect one-on-one about a very difficult problem that many of us has faced. What do you do when you inherit a partner program that your company believes in, but has no idea what to do about? The mud ball, how do you turn it into a masterpiece? I have two very exciting guests who have, over the last year or two, I've known them for a while, put together amazingly big successes in their companies. I have Stacy Carlson at TextExpander, who doubled her partner revenue quarter by quarter, even just by taking her partner program down to the studs and rebuilding it, relaunching in November last year, already seeing huge results. And Madelyn Wing from CallRail, who took their program and has now grown 1,600 service partners in her channel. And it's basically 30% plus revenue of CallRail. It's quite impressive. And it's a problem that many of us face. What do you do from zero? How do you become a hero? So thank you very much. Just a little bit of housekeeping for the audience. We have the Q&A box. This is, of course, your time. If you have these problems, fire questions away. This is a conversation between Madelyn and Stacy to learn about how they comparatively run their programs. But you here, it's your programs too. So ask your questions, and we can maybe chime in and help advance what you're doing day to day. So with that, Stacy, why don't I turn it over to you? And I gave you an introduction, but how would you introduce yourselves? What is TextExpander? What is your partner program?
Yeah, so TextExpander is, it fits into the text expansion category, which not everybody's familiar with. It allows you to create this library of canned responses or things that you type on a regular basis. And then you apply a trigger. And in this case, it's usually characters. So once you type that trigger, it actually expands your large amount of content. So a good example is my entire recruitment onboarding system, because I have different areas that I do it, is in TextExpander. So I type in P.01 and it expands an entire email for me, and then I can personalize it. Our partner program is mainly focused on agency aspect, but then also resellers. And like you mentioned, we relaunched November of last year. That was after me taking on the position of partner manager about this time last year. And before that, I mainly focused on our affiliate marketing.
Yeah, amazing. And then Madelyn, how about yourselves? I mean, tell us about yourself, your role at CallRail. What is CallRail and what is your partner program?
Yeah, absolutely. So CallRail is a call tracking and marketing analytics platform. At its core, we help businesses tie phone call leads back to the marketing channel that drove them. We've since expanded into also form tracking and also actually handling the VoIP and soft phone aspect of those phone calls. So we're really kind of the central marketing hub for any business that cares about phone calls. And so I have been with CallRail a little over 5 years now. I actually was on the product marketing team, and we were putting together this whole go-to market for agencies. We'd had some like partner contracts floating around, which we'll kind of get into when we realized, no, we need to make this a real thing. So back in late 2018, really early 2019, that's when we launched our formal agency partner program, put that together. And, as I kind of said, with our core value prop, agencies are a great partner for us because they are that one-to-many with all of those businesses that are managing the phone calls, and they're managing all the marketing for them anyway. So CallRail is a great, really like add-on service to everything they're already doing. So yeah.
Did you know it was marketing agencies from the beginning?
So the thing that's interesting is ever since I joined CallRail, I actually did a short stint on the customer success team, and it was always marketing agencies are our best customers. Everyone knew that inherently, but no one had really put like the math behind it. And it was kind of like middle of 2018 when we did that. And also when we uncovered that there were agencies already doing the channel play. Like no one realized they were reselling that way, and our data wasn't built to surface that. And then when we realized it, right, you saw, oh wait, all of the really big agencies that we really like working with are reselling. They're not buying it for themselves. And that was when it became crystal clear, like, okay, this has to be agencies. And yeah, and we got to go this route versus the other route. So.
Yeah, very interesting. And Stacy, you had like a similar story. I mean, actually, it's more interesting. You told me like at the beginning, partners were like a bad word, or reseller is a bad word. Like, what was happening when you inherited the program? Because obviously they knew partnerships was happening, but there was
Yeah.
there was some already history.
Yeah. So our partner program started in 2014, and predominantly it was resellers of large capacity that basically were brought in by enterprise companies to help facilitate the sale. So they procured the software for the end client. What we saw on a regular basis is that they were only brought in after we negotiated with the end client, and it ended up causing a lot of tension because it would actually draw out the actual closing time. What we could close in a day ended up being like a month. And instead of just working with one person, we ended up working with 50 different people. And because this was who was predominantly in our old program, the word reseller became a very negative word in the company, to the point where when I took it over, we actually forbid saying the word reseller. It was partner, because we had to recondition everybody in the company to understand that partners are actually a good thing. And in fact, when we relaunched, we actually decided to step away from resellers, and we just implemented resellers back in this month, actually the end of last month, with a better understanding of how to control that relationship so that it didn't continue to be a bad word. All the things that were negative before, we were able to basically step in and say, that's it. This is our program. We're the ones who get to decide the terms, not the other way around.
I love that. Our bad word at CallRail that we've just reintroduced is affiliate, actually.
Yep.
Because yeah, we had this like legacy affiliate program, and everyone was like, what are these people? And we pay them all this money, and there's not a good relationship. And so they were like thrown into this weird area where no one talked to them for a while. And now we're resurfacing them and trying to get more of them. But you're right, like on our terms, this is how we want to interact with these people. This is, yeah, that's important, I think.
So I was actually brought in for the affiliates. Again, it was a program that nobody really kind of touched. And that's when I started 3 years ago here at Smile. And that was my first job, was to, again, take our affiliate program down to the studs and rebuild it back up. Focusing on not necessarily the coupon sites, but also, focusing on content, focusing on the people who are actually bringing value to the company. Those are the people that I'm willing to spend my time on because they love our product. They love talking about our product. So of course, I'm going to spend time talking and building campaigns with them. So I kind of took that mentality of it's our terms when we rebuilt the program for the partners.
This is maybe a question I have for you. Like, how do you help differentiate the, like you're saying, the good ones that that are happy with TextExpander and that's who you want to work with? When we were like reorganizing this agency partner program and deciding what we wanted to do at CallRail, I kind of feel like previously our sales reps were like trigger happy, if that makes sense. Like they were just like, oh, you'll sign a contract, happy to put a deal in place that's a reseller deal, and then they just thought it was going to like rain down new sales. Like and yeah, we had to do a lot of work, I think, educating them on this is actually who you want to sign a contract with versus not. And on top of that, just because you sign a contract doesn't mean anything. Like you have to do more work there to make something happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of benefited because we have two tiers. So we have individual for TextExpander, but then we also have teams. And affiliates have predominantly only been that single aspect. So putting true and realistic expectations on our affiliates, they're not going to push over teams. But we also understand that every individual they push over, they work somewhere that could turn into a team at a later time. It's all looking at them as evangelists. That's the biggest thing, is that your affiliates are your evangelists. How do you get them to talk about you? And that's where, we've seen our biggest success kind of filter back down.
Norma Wadenpa has a question actually on this vein, because she asks, how do you approach structuring your partner programs to best serve your customers? But this is actually the same thing you guys are talking about, is you have a black and white contract with a partner. Nothing's going to happen unless obviously customers are driving it. So what did you guys do to fix these these issues? Like Madelyn, I think I'll throw it to you because you're the one that first addressed it.
Yeah. So one thing that we did actually was we looked at agencies that we already had in our database that were already members of really like what we considered successful partner programs, namely for us, like that was the HubSpot and Unbounces of the world. And I actually went and did a lot of one-to-one interviews and we're like, what do you like about those programs? And what is falling short with you with CallRail? Like not only from a partner like program perspective, but also how is the product not built to serve that? And so really just honestly digging in and doing that market research and taking all of that back to marketing and sales and product and saying like, hey, if we don't, like, this is why they like those other programs. And if we don't get our act together in the same way, like there's no way we're going to be as successful. So yeah.
What was the answer? What did they like about those programs and what did you need to do to level up?
So I would say one thing, right, that really stuck out to me, like leading with revenue share, which is what we historically had always done, even though a lot of these people do like that, right? Like it's, you can't lead. That's not the value at all. And yeah, and now it feels like a no-brainer, right? But back then we were like, oh, okay, yes. So downplaying that, making sure also like having a dedicated resource. Like we historically have thought, once again, yeah, you just kind of sign a contract, that's fine. No, they want special support status. They want to have one email, one person they know they can talk to, and they get to know your name and face. Yeah, I think those were probably the two biggest things for us.
Yeah, and it all leads into the trust aspect. So we had existing partners when we switched over that followed us through. And I knew that my biggest hurdle was rebuilding trust. And that goes with giving them assets, giving them one person that they can email and they know they're going to get a reply back. Setting up co-marketing campaigns with the partners and being upfront in regards to, we want nothing in return. This is what we're going to do for you. And that's kind of the stance that I always take, is what my job is not necessarily what can the partner do for our company. It's how can I help my partner? We're a product that isn't a software that is just a standalone. We complement everything else. So it's not like we can go out and say, we want you to resell TextExpander, because there's always something else that it feeds into. So a good example is going to Zendesk implementers and talking to them in regards to how TextExpander complements Zendesk and incorporating TextExpander into that process. So we needed to make sure that we were providing them the things that would get them customers, but then also to build the loyalty in regards to them using us and suggesting in us. And the number one thing was making sure their entire team had access to TextExpander, because it's one of those products that once you start using, you just don't stop. So that was a big aspect of what can I do for my partner.
I love making sure everyone on the team, like, I know it's the same for you guys, or for us on the agency front, a lot of times the person that signs the contract is not the person using CallRail. They're not the person reselling CallRail, like any of that. And so making sure we actually get to, okay, who else do we need to be talking and they're trained up and good to go. Yeah, super important.
Amir has a question. Actually, Norma Wadenpow had responded. Love the comment about revenue share. Often the value for partners is the more profitable revenue streams. Customers, that's all they care about, are triggered by working with your product. Norma, this is why we're all laughing, because we all need a drink desperately to talk about this November. We all went through the experience. Amir asks, he's from Daylight. How do you get your affiliates talking about TextExpander, Stacy?
Yeah, so we've set up campaigns where they'll get extra bonuses if they do specific blog posts. We've also created an entire portal for our affiliates. So each one of our products has 12 ideas on how to get started promoting our product. And they're like simple to really complex. So my onboarding of all affiliates basically starts out with that of, okay, so you've got the link now. What's the next step? Our biggest obstacle as SaaS companies is competing not against non-SaaS companies. the biggest obstacle I keep running into is I can go ahead and promote the wine company and get a $100 share off of it. Whereas with you, I'm only getting a much smaller. It's the problem that we keep running into. But if you're adding enough rev share on the back end to make it worth their while, they'll push you up further in on the list of things to actually do. That's at least what I found. Madelyn, what are you guys seeing as far as your affiliates?
We've just relaunched the program 2 weeks ago. So I think still a little too early to tell on that one. Yeah.
So just to be clear, so this is an affiliate program. These are like straight up affiliates, not your solution partners. Yeah, the other part. Yeah. And then your main solution partners are Zendesk and what other kinds of like other products, or are you all Zendesk?
So our biggest ones right now is process implementers, consultants who go in and basically look at the process landscape of a company, because that's where we fit in the best. That's been our number one right now. And then productivity, coaches, consultants, implementers, that type of thing. But then also anything with customer support, because we really integrate well with help desks and customer like Zendesk or Help Scout.
And so this is the interesting thing. So you were hired to do affiliates, and then you switched to the solution partner, implementation partner thing. So you must have made that argument. How did you get the data? How did you come to that conclusion?
It was, we started, and I think Madelyn said this too, we started asking questions of, are you working with a partner, our sales team? And what happened was we started seeing that a lot of our customers were already working with people. And if we did a follow back and did a history of that person, that agency, they'd actually been pushing lots of companies through as a referral and just not being compensated on it. So it was this aspect of, it's already happening, we just haven't tracked it. And we've seen that a lot. The more I've talked to our partners, they're like, yeah, I pushed through like this one last year. We just didn't know. So now it's an aspect of, now we're really pushing the aspect of we want to pay you. We want to compensate you. We want to list you on our website. We want you to partner with us. And so that's kind of changing the dynamic in regards to our relationship with those agencies.
I really want to push on this for both of you. And it's kind of interesting how you guys would learn from each other. But this is an interesting point that I'm learning. So I have my AppMind, which is my business, which is serving the reseller experience, but it's mostly solution partners. And this thing called shadow channel is a real thing, where it turns out most SaaS companies have this shadow channel of solution partners, but you never hear about them because the affiliate programs are basically all we've been running. And who puts up referral links in front of clients? It's so deeply unprofessional to use referral links, and deal registration is a total annoyance, right? And so it's kind of wild. Actually, we do all have channels, but you guys have discovered it. And so, and you've grown revenue here. So a question for you, how did you discover and convince the rest of your company? And then did you actually manage to grow your revenue slice by investing in these channels, and like to what degree? I think this is something important for all of us to understand, that this is actually possible. There is revenue here, but it's invisible because we haven't been using the wrong mechanic, right? So Madelyn, maybe I'll start with you, because you've been doing it for one extra year. Maybe you have more insight here.
Yeah. So actually, I like the shadow channel. When we kind of uncovered it, actually, that was when we realized, right, yes, there are agencies that are technically doing one-to-many, but they're buying CallRail, paying for the account themselves. Everything's a sub-account in there. You talk to those people, their number one pain point is obviously the bill gets bigger every single day. And they sometimes think they're doing the pass-through cost, but they end up losing money if one client shoots through the roof, all that kind of stuff. Then on the other hand, we have the agencies doing true channel, their customers are paying for the product, et cetera. And my CEO actually came to me and was like, I think we need to stop saying, if you're an agency, like choose your own adventure. And he's like, we need to be prescriptive and decide which route we want them to go down. And we got to push it hard. And it became a no-brainer, even though we had way less agencies doing the actual channel model that we like reseller, just the size of them and the ARPU and the longevity, like all of it, it was
These
just
ones who are actually buying the accounts themselves.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
And so taking that data like company-wide at a company-wide meeting and saying, hey, yeah, we have, 2,000 agencies that do it this way, and we only have 200 that do it this way, but let's just compare revenue, because guess what? We're getting the same amount of revenue from both groups. So again, where should we spend our time over here? And so I think just starting with the data is like the easiest way to get buy-in. And you can actually see it very clearly on a graph when you're looking at the revenue from our agencies. The month that we launched the agency partner program, it just goes like through the roof. It's kind of an insane looking graph. But I think using that data to really share the story internally with everyone and say, this is why we're doing it. It's really easy for sales reps to buy into that and sell into that. We've made it also really easy for them. Like we were kind of triple paying for a while. Agencies are getting paid out, sales reps are getting paid out, and channel reps. It was worth it, honestly, to do that for a year because it was worth it, honestly. So yeah, starting with the data is the best place to start, I think. So.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. We started really slow, so we're just now into the growth stage. November through now was just working with the ones that signed up in that time period, just mainly because we still didn't have all the assets created or the foundational aspect. So this quarter is actually our huge growth because we've created a really sound foundation of making sure that we have the process, the workflow for onboarding each one of our partners. But yeah, our numbers are showing the exact same thing. The fact that, the first month we launched it, the existing partners who were previous, we saw them putting in leads that we didn't even realize. I mean, and that's why, we've just seen this increase month over month in regards to what people are actually referring over to us.
I don't know if this happened to you, Stacy, but this also happened to us. Like right around the time we were doing this, we actually had other agencies doing like the model where they're paying for the account, kind of like, hey, we're seeing this like other thing happening, and like hearing whispers from other CallRail agencies, like, what's the deal here? And we explained it to them. They switched all of their accounts over, told their clients, you're paying for this now. And they've like exponentially grown. But I think to your point, like it changed the relationship we had with those agencies to like, yeah, we want to be your partner and this is how we want it to work. And they were like sold, bought in, let's do this. And now we have like monthly calls with those agencies, whereas before it was like, talk to you when you have a problem, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. No, we've seen the exact same thing. And again, it goes back to that trust aspect. The more trust that you build with those agencies, because I mean, they're putting their names on the line. When they refer us, they're saying, I believe in this company. And if they're not going to get the support or the assets or, the information that they need to support their end client, that makes them look bad. So again, it's, us stepping forward and saying over and over again, I am here for you. This is how I'm here for you. And constantly just filtering that back to them. It changes the dynamic of how often they're actually going to refer you. Because if you're just on autopilot, they can't trust that you're going to be there to make them look good. So.
Well, here's actually a key question. I'm curious what your answers are. If you had to say, from their point of view, what are they getting out of this relationship? Like, what is the upside for even bringing your product into a client deal? How is their business growing? What is the answer? I'm curious what you would both say.
For us, money is not high on the list, which is kind of interesting. The number one thing is a do follow backlink for SEO aspect. And that's why we've really focused heavily in regards to making sure that we're featuring our partners on our blog or in other articles. But then also them being able to add a value proposition. So it does come into the money aspect, but it's setting up the snippets or it's implementing it into their existing software. So it's just one more value add for them. I think those are our two mains for our product.
Madelyn, what you say your agencies are getting out of this whole experience for themselves?
I think I'm honestly echoing some of what Stacy said. Like, number one is just it makes their value prop better. Hey, you're spending all this money with me generating marketing. I'm going to make you pay for this CallRail thing, and it's going to prove that I'm driving results for you. And if you don't, like, I'm going to do, my best to report, but this is you can hold me accountable. Like, that's why I want you to buy it. So kind of a no-brainer there. But then just in terms of like outside of why they would just buy CallRail and they really want to partner with us, I do think another point Stacy brought up earlier, we are giving them that direct line to support. They also have a partner advisor, and just having that for their clients of like, oh, you're having a problem here, I have a contact, I'll get this fixed for you real fast, is like a game changer, especially for any of the agencies maybe floating around as our customer before, but not our partner. Once they make that switch, they're like all in. We see it in surveys all the time. Like, what's your favorite thing about the partner program? My partner advisor, 100%. So
there's an interesting element here that keeps coming up that I summarize for anyone just listening for the first time that comes up. Clients hire agencies for one reason. They're freaking out, anxiety. And what do they sell? Trust, calm, and control. And for you you're just pipes and valves to a plumber, right? You're not really the main story, but if you have to provide that trust to them so they can trust you, the client, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, when I onboard my partners, we start the onboarding question with one question. I ask them, why did you start your agency? And I ask that question because they could work anywhere and they're experts. And being an entrepreneur is really risky. But I want to understand the why behind their business. And by asking this question, you quickly understand your agency's core values. And what I see over and over again is trust, security, and looking like an expert. And that's a trend that I see over and over again every time I onboard a new partner. Those things are really important to them because they've been in the corporate world and they've seen how other companies treat their clients, and they don't want that to happen with theirs. So again, it goes back to if you're building that trust with them, if you're giving them the outlet to provide trust to their end client, that changes the entire dynamic in regards to how they're going to promote you or even look at you as a company.
Attendees are definitely asking us to get back to brass tacks. So it's nice to do the philosophy. Let's get into where the money's coming from. But first, quick question, Stacy, from Richard at Israel. He wants to know, because you switched from affiliates to solution providers, what percentage of your, partner revenue or total revenue comes from the channel? Actually, yeah, how much of your company's revenue is if you can disclose that? And how would you break that now between the SPs and the affiliates? Like, how does it break down in your program?
Yeah, it's not something that I can disclose, but I can kind of break it down. Because our partner program is so new, it's still behind our affiliate, because the affiliate program has now had 3 years of me cultivating it. So it's going to be a little bit before we actually catch up to the affiliate network. But I would say probably by the end of this year, the goal, by the end of this year, we should be equal with if not more than our affiliate network.
Madelyn, you threw some big numbers out, but how much of your revenue is coming from the partner channel now? It's like,
so 30% of our revenue is managed by CallRail agency partners. Some of that happened right before they became a partner technically, but all in all, a good piece of the pie. So,
by the way, that's another little thing that has been circling around this year. Say, what's the difference between a registered partner and a partner? Nothing from the customer's point of view. The story's been still being told through that agency. It doesn't matter whether they're on the phone with you, giving you a high five about it or not. You've still won that relationship. Yep. Yeah. So you count it all. Some question about affiliates, but we'll move on. So acquisition strategy is, I think an interesting question. So Stacy, you had to go acquire a whole bunch of new partners. You mentioned you switched to implementation partners. What did you actually do to say, hi, we have a whole new program, talk to me?
Yeah, the first thing so we're now into the growth stage. So the first thing that I'm doing is looking at our existing customer base, because we now know who the perfect partner is seeing who's already using our product. Because number one, we don't have to educate them on what TextExpander is. That gives us a way to kind of build a foundational aspect of understanding how to tell that story to people who don't know what the product is. So the first one is, again, going through our database of customers, who's in an agency, who's doing implementation, reaching out to them and just educating them. Hey, we've got a partner program. And I started this a little bit in January and February, and we've already started to onboard new partners. After that, then we'll start going on the cold outreach. Again, it's going to be harder just because of the education aspect of what we are. But we've come a long ways as far as being able to tell that story, just even from November to now, which I'm really excited about, because it kind of goes into the whole company has bought into the channel partners, and that is phenomenal for me. Marketing, sales, CEO, everybody has bought into it. And I can't imagine how hard it would have been if there had been friction in regards to buying into it.
Our mutual friend, Alex Glenn for Partner Programs,
Yes,
has a wonderful cold email do's and don'ts and Hall of Shame. I know you were hanging out with him. So
yep.
How did your LinkedIn outreach? It was LinkedIn, I think you said you were using. Like, what is your leading message? It's not like, buy TextExpander now, or I'm going to call your mom and tell you off.
So how we're reaching out to existing customers now is on LinkedIn, and it's just a simple, hey, I'm the partner manager and I'd really love to partner with your company. And it's not talking about our partner program. It talks about co-marketing.
These people are already, or you have accounts. Yep. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And the way that we are getting in is that because you can share your snippets with other people, you can actually create a public group. And how we're implementing that is that we take their snippet group that's to a niche, say customer support, and then we're writing a blog article explaining what the snippet is, how to use it, what the use case for it is, and then we're posting it on our site with a do follow backlink to the actual person. And then from there, that's when we start talking about, hey, just by the way, we have our partner program. Because they love our product already, because we've done the co-marketing, it's a lower barrier to entry to get them bought into the partner program aspect.
Interesting. That's really clever. And Madelyn, how about you? What are you doing? Because you have like a focus. Well, it's not just, is it any marketing agency or is it just HubSpot? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's really any marketing agency. For us, though, like our best agencies that we really want to work with are selling SEO or PPC services. That's just what we plug in really well. But yeah, in terms of the acquisition strategy, I think one thing that's maybe interesting to talk about. So yeah, we started a lot with just really heavy customer marketing back to our existing agency customers. And at the time when we launched, something that was really, really important to me was I went to our CEO and our CMO at the time and said, hey, I don't think I can do this by myself. And I need a salesperson that is just doing cold outreach all day, taking phone calls, so I can do some more of the back end stuff. Like, we can't do it that way. And so we did have a person, like, that's all they were doing, quickly scaled to 2 people in a couple of months. That's all they did was cold outreach back to our customer base. But what I really think was the game changer was really aligning with our sales team on all net new agencies. That was a harder case to crack, absolutely. But yeah, working really, really closely with the sales managers, training that we did so many trainings with the reps of like, this is what is in it for you. Yep. You are going to make more money if you sell it this way than if you sell it that way. I know if you sell it, just where the agency puts their credit card on file and they pay for it, it might seem like a bigger check in that first, your first commission check, but this other one's going to grow over time and you're going to get paid more. Yep. So that was a big game changer for us. And I actually, we implemented in Salesforce, you could see which ones they actually passed over to the partner team. And for a while, we had meetings where I would pull up the list and be like, okay, I need you to tell me why you didn't pass this agency. I need you to, and the reps get scared. And then they're like, okay, we got to pass every single one. So yeah, that was, I think, what really helped us over the hump to grow this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were in the same thing. Setting a foundation that it wasn't partners versus sales. it was a group effort. That was the number one thing with our sales team, because I needed them to, I needed them to trust me. So, if I find somebody in our database, like right now, I'm going through a list of our customers. I won't reach out to any of those until I've talked to the salesperson who's actually attached to it, because, just in sales, it's an aspect of everybody owns a lead. I have to respect that just as they have to respect that with each other. So, from the very beginning, we've had a good relationship, just mainly because that has been one of my main focuses, is that I have to work with sales team. I mean, you have to, and making sure that relationship stays really positive. And my sales team, I'd say in a weekly basis, they push over, I'd say 20 different leads, some for the affiliates, some for partners. But they have no issues whatsoever about pushing that person over. And I'm so grateful for that.
There's a little Mars versus Venus, sales people from Mars, partnership people from Venus. We were just prepping the next SaaS Connect 101 with Simon from ShareWork. He's a sales guy, and we're just talking about partners versus sales and how there's a disconnect. So I'm laughing because I'm like, plus I'm also imagining you, Madelyn, terrifying your sales reps over Zoom. The filter. Maybe your virtual background, it just flames. No, so there was obviously a learning aspect, because we're partner people and marketers, salespeople are different. So there were some expectations or thoughts that you might have had to overcome, to teach it forward, for everyone else who has to figure out sales. What was the biggest thing you wish you knew at the beginning of this? Madelyn, I'll turn it to you.
What was the biggest thing?
Just working with sales,
with working with sales, I think it's just right. It's like the curve of change. It was going to take them some time, that we wanted them to change the way they were selling, and they would come running to you oh, but I got this objection. And it's hard, right? Because as the partner person, you're like, yeah, this is how you answer that objection. Of course. And they couldn't connect the dots on that. I think mostly this whole concept of it's the difference between asking someone to pay money versus make money, if that makes sense. That was, I think, the hard. And so I wish I knew that that's what I had to spend more time educating on, because there was, like I said, there was a couple of months where it was a rocky road, and it was because I just assumed, oh yeah, I did one presentation on this, we're good to go. Everyone gets it. And that's definitely not the case. You got to keep educating people, moving them along the change curve, and then they'll meet you there in a little bit.
Yeah. And for me, same thing. Ours came really front and center in understanding that this is a long game, not a short game. That one was, I think, our biggest hurdle, was that sales is always so focused on money, and quick, we close the sale. And there was an expectation that if we brought partners on, the partners would automatically just start, filling our coffers full of money and, pushing all it. But I knew that in order for this to be successful, there needed to be, there's an onboarding aspect, building the trust aspect. So there was a lot of conversations in regards to, no, I am not going to implement what you think is best, because that would actually totally destroy my partner program, because this is a long game. This is not just a short game. So I think that was our biggest hurdle, was just, I wish I had known that on day one, because I would have approached everything much differently.
Yeah, that's a really good point about onboarding, Stacy. Something I remember when we kind of redid our partner onboarding, and I was like, yeah, it's, depending on the partner's timeline, this could take 30 days or 3 months. We need to be okay with that. And sales still thinking, okay, but either way, as soon as I do all of this activity, I'm just sitting on a gold mine, right? And you're like, well, no.
That's not how, and educating them that, okay, unlike our salespeople who only sell TextExpander, that agency is selling not only their services, but then whoever else they're partnered with. So it's not just you that they're promoting, and not every one of their clients is a good fit for our product. So even just understanding that aspect of it. Yeah, because they're like, oh, our new salespeople. I'm like, no, that's not, yes, but no.
I'm hoping by the 22nd century, humans have probably figured this out because it's an endless problem. I have an interesting question here. So in another interesting idea that is circulating through these talks is that partners actually go through two pipelines. So you convert them, they don't do anything until customers want them to do something. They will do nothing for you. They will never promote you to a client ever, never once, because they don't care about you. Your plumber does not care about which pipes they're buying. They care about the clients they're serving, and then they bring the pipes in they know are the best, right? And so the first pipeline is to get them ready to trust you. And then the second pipeline is when there's a client who needs it, then they'll start activating. So there's a second pipeline. And there could be months of time between those, but it does pay out. So what did you do with sales to teach them short versus long? Because they're money oriented. I think the first question is did the comp change, or did you do something else to motivate them to think long term? Stacy?
Not for sure I can answer because this is such an infancy of it. So for every deal that comes through, we actually assign a salesperson to that. And they're basically, they either run the lead or they help our agency run the lead. It depends on what type of lead it is. So we're just now starting that aspect of it. Because a lot of the ones that came in previously had all just run it without even telling us that it was going through. So, but it was just the education side of this is how we're doing it, and then really understanding the one thing that I have to explain to sales is this is not especially when the agency is running the lead, you are backup. Sales is a backup person. They don't reach out to the client. They don't do demos unless the agency specifically says so. And we had to make sure that our wording was good in regards to as long as you feel that the agency is working in our best interests, you don't reach out to that client, because the second you do, you've just killed my partnership with that person. Because it just totally deflates the trust that the client has in that agency. So that was one of our biggest aspects, is just keep driving that back to the sales of this isn't like a normal lead. You're in the back seat for this one, but you are there to support that partner as much as possible.
Yeah, don't make it a love triangle. Oh,
yeah. Please
don't. How about you, Madelyn? What did you do with sales to go from short to long-term thinking?
One thing you asked, did we change comp? I think one thing that did always work in our favor is that our reps have always been paid out on a 9-month waterfall. So they kind of always there was always something in it for them in the long run, as long as, that, like you said, as long as the gap between those two pipelines isn't 9 months, then there's not much. But the vision we really sold to them was, hey, if you just sell this agency on CallRail and they just get one client and that account never grows, and you don't put it in the partner program to keep being nurtured by me or partner manager, you're only going to get paid on that little chunk for your 9 months. Your chances of that growing into something bigger, you have a lot better chance if there's another person that's constantly nurturing, following up, just, hey, is there anything you need? Just checking. You have a much better chance of that being fruitful and us staying top of mind in the 9 months if you pass it over than if you don't and you just work it by yourself. Yeah. So, yeah.
Interesting. Does that sales rep keep the agency for as long, for the next client, next client?
So yeah, so our new AEs, they keep that agency for the first 9 months, even if the next client comes. But our channel managers, they get every single new client on a waterfall. So there's definitely something in it for the channel reps to keep the relationship good long term, because they get paid out on every new deal.
Okay, so you carved out a new sales team to channel. Did they come from the sales, or you hire new?
They came from the sales team, which was nice too, because they came with that CallRail background and they got it. Yeah.
Interesting. Sorry, I cut you off, Stacy, earlier. Do you have a?
Oh no, I'm fine.
Okay. I don't know, these channel reps, are they reporting to VP sales or reporting to partner? Do they switch reporting?
Nope, they still report in a VP of sales, which is nice because I would say like the partnerships team, we kind of control the strategy there, but the day-to-day like people management and call coaching, that's all still happening through a sales manager that we're basically dotted line super, super tight with.
So Bader Hamden has a question for us. Yes. What challenges did you face with partners specifically about your solution? So like, how do they working with your product, and and the partner program, because those have to work together now. And how did you overcome them to actually align? So it's different from doing like Ty actually also commented, the idea of partners is switching them from being a customer to being a distribution channel. There is a change in mindset and there's going to be a misalignment immediately. So did you learn anything through this experience? Like Stacy, I think you might have had a more direct problem there because people using TextExpander and then selling TextExpander, those are quite different experiences. Did you have to learn and improve your messaging for these people?
We haven't had issues with that. What we had issues with was the total change in the program. So before, we used to have a partner portal that they could log into, buy the license, and that was done. They never had to deal with anybody. So when we had those partners sign on to the new program, despite them having read all the guidelines and stipulations, they still didn't want to deal with me, but yet they wanted free things in return, like free copies of software. But my goal is that I needed to at least talk to all of these because the program was drastically different. We needed to make sure that we were aligned. And we did find that there was a percentage of them who just, this was not the idea of the partner program that they wanted, and that's fine. They are still selling it. It's just they're not doing it through our partner program. So I think that was our biggest aspect of the previous ones. Everybody else, the mass majority of those who did move from the old partner program to the new one, they're like, this actually works so much better. Because what we found is that the way we had it set before is that you got a discount when you purchased through the portal. Well, most of our partners just actually passed that discount to their customer. So they weren't actually getting any money off of it. So this allowed them to get it now on a commission basis instead of a discount basis. But we've also set it up so if they don't want commission, they can go ahead and do a discount. So we've been kind of flexible in that regards. So we offered more than what we did before, and we're catering, but there's a certain line that I won't cater to. And when they won't even get one phone call with me, that's kind of where the line is drawn.
That is a really interesting point, Stacey, about the discounts versus like commission. And that was actually about to my answer to Bader's question is I think that is still a code we haven't cracked. Like we've maybe leaned a little bit too hard into like, nope, this is the way the program is structured. And you're either like jumping in the car with us or you're left on the curb. Like for the sake of scalability is honestly why we've been that way. But yeah, we get requests all the time. Hey, actually, I'd rather offer my clients a discount than this revenue share, or hey, I want both. And we haven't been flexible on that. And that's definitely something that we're talking about, and we need to change, figure out how to offer that. And then Sunir, I know you'll laugh at this, but the other challenge is always the billing of it all. Like agencies, no one is
holding back from selling you right now on this call.
None of them are selling it like the same way. None of them are billing their clients the same way. And so trying to build a program and a product that can solve the 30 ways they're doing it is complicated every day. And I hate when that is the reason someone won't join the program or the reason someone wants to leave the program after being very happy.
I hate that you're not using AppMind to solve this problem too. I hate it too. Because it handles all.
When we first started the program in November, I was dead fast, commission only. That's it. But after talking to more and more of the partners, I'm just like, okay, we can do this, and basically I just know that, they get 10% discount on a 10% commission or a 20% discount and no commission. So we've just set it up. I don't know how well that will work scaling, but for now it works. And it's made those who want a discount instead of the commission really happy. So I guess that's kind of my focus right now is, and we'll come to the scalable part when we get to it, and figure out how to actually address that.
Yeah, I think for us, it's like a chicken and the egg problem, because probably our top 5, if not 10 partners do all have discounted plans. And so are they our top 10 partners because we gave them the discount and commission? Or did we give them the discount and commission because they were our top partners, right? Like sometimes it's hard to remember the way that went down. And yeah.
Anonymous attendee says, for Stacy, clearly not for me, because I know what my answer would be. What are you using for a tool to track all those discount versus commission?
Yeah. So I built an entire portal for our partners in Airtable and Stacker app. So we use Airtable in-house anyway, so we were paying for it. So my entire partner portal is set up on that. I have a system created now. It's just once a month I pull out, who gets paid. We do a mass payment through PayPal. It is not the most convenient, but it's also the most cheapest form of partner portal at this point, if you don't actually account for any of my hours. Eventually we will move to a PRM, but for now it's in Airtable.
I appreciate we making this as awkward as humanly possible. I will follow with both of you. One last question before we run out the clock. To me, it's interesting to challenge you both that when I asked you, what partners get out of it, and also you're talking about commissions versus discounts, you're really focused on what you are specifically mechanically doing for partners. I can tell you literally, like, only the most bottom feeding partners actually care about the money coming for you, because all the money is coming from the clients and all they really care about is client engagement. But, in the prep calls, one of the things that came up was 2021. What's your plan? It was around partner success and getting them into client success. So what is your plans on the helping partners succeed with clients for 2021? So Madelyn, I'll turn to you first.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited. I have a meeting later today. Like the big thing is we're completely redoing the sales rep playbook. Like we feel really good about the onboarding, but like I said, right, we have those activities. And then when those die, it right now kind of feels like a no man's land unless the partner is reaching out, and we need to be more proactive. So trying to figure out how the reps can be more proactive with partners without being annoying, and making sure we're creating like more value that isn't just, oh, you need help onboarding this new client or you need help selling this new client. Like what are other ways that we can engage with them that we're actually helping their business, like supporting existing clients and things like that. So for us, the big one is just completely redoing the playbook, blowing that thing up. I'm excited about it.
And ours is getting it to a point where we can actually hand it to our sale or our partners. Right now, it's all one-on-one training with me, just because we don't have the assets created. So it's actually, we're putting everything into video format of this is how we sell the product. This is how you do account management, so that our partners just have access to that, so that I can take that training time and actually focus on things that are more important. That is my Q2 goals. I'm so excited just for that to happen, because it does take up quite a bit of your time, just the training aspect of it.
Are you going to write it all yourself, or are you going to leverage resources from the company to help you develop?
A little of both. Video content will all be new because we don't actually have that in video for our sales team. And that's how I'm kind of looking at it too, is that everything that I create for my partners, we're also creating for sales. So it serves a dual purpose. And so when we're onboarding sales team, they'll use the same stuff as what I'm actually handing out to the partners.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, that's right. I mean, it's basically how you train your internal sales and support. Is partners basically need the same thing.
The exact same thing. Yep.
And then Madelyn, yourself, do you have resources in your partner team, or are you like leveraging design, marketing, writing?
A combination of both. So luckily we have a partner team at CallRail. I'm actually hiring right now. If anyone on the call is interested in applying, looking on our website, or you can Slack me. But we do have a partner team, and then also luckily the rest of the marketing team is kind of there to support too.
Amazing. We do have a job board, so we do post on Hash Jobs and Slack, and we'll post it on the website and the newsletter from there. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, I'm very impressed about how far your programs have come and how much learning you both have done since I've known you guys. And I really appreciate you taking the time to like really go into the real depth of your experiences. I hope the attendees, realize they're not alone going through the journey, because we all go through it, and they laughed along with us, or cried, or drank. I don't know, whatever people are doing now. Or day drinking again. I don't know. This is why we feel like we're at the pandemic in Canada.
For me, it's just playing lots of video games. So
my kids have me in Sneaky Sasquatch now on Apple Arcade. It's like a really good game. Okay, with that, I will say thank you, and thanks to our attendees. Madelyn and Stacy are both on Slack, so on our Slack channel, and you can, if you're listening to this and you're not on our Slack, come join us. Free, cloudsoftwareassociation.com. Come join us. All right, thank you both.